live on this. If I can't hear myself, I should hear myself right now. Anyway, if you are hearing this, welcome to Movie Crap. This is the latest movie news streaming show. Not sure if we are streaming. We should be streaming because that would be nice. Oh, there we are. This is the latest movie news. There we are. We can hear me. Let's tweet it out that I am live. My cat Buster, is knocking. Well, you can't see what he's doing because he's knocking into the camera. I'm glad people are here. Hey, I see Ryan Walterson. I see Big Bang Theory Bro 33. I see Jordan. I see Cornbread, Jesus B, Bruce Parker, Austin, Nathaniel Fogel. Yeah. Alright. So, despite the world we are presently in, I am here. And my cat, Buster, is maybe... Okay, we'll go live with Buster. How about that? We'll start off with Buster. Hey, look, it's Buster, who really wanted to be on the beginning of the show. Say hi. Are you happy? Is that what you wanted? Hope that's what you wanted. I hope that's what you wanted. Anyway, you get a cat at the beginning. Right, Buster? Okay. Hopefully, we'll see if he's going to be on there. Alright, so... I am here, you are here, we're all here to talk about movie news, which seems kind of weird this week. But there is movie news. There's some earth-shattering movie news. I know there's some earth-shattering real news, but this is not a real news live stream. This is a movie crap. We talk about movie stuff. That's what we do here. So I know it might seem a little trivial, but I thought this would be a good exercise in that, and that's usually what we do, and I think that's what I'm going to continue to do on this channel on Saturdays for the most part, because what else are we going to do? If there's less movie news, then we'll talk about something else. So that's the deal, just so you know. I guess two announcement things. One, what came out today was my friend who I've been working with for a long time, Matt Berry, has a new short film. I am in it. I didn't know it was going to come out today till it came out because it was going to do more festival stuff. Let's move this mic into my actual direction. Not sure. I'm sure that was Buster's fault. Anyway, it's called Unknown Number. I have a part at the beginning. Check that out. The link is in the description. I'll be posting it everywhere on Monday. Very proud of that. Very proud of Matt. I love working out with him. Nice. Ryan had to make a butthole joke. Also, I'm going to try to do streams on Wednesday nights. I'm not sure what time yet. I'm just sort of announcing this so you guys know about it. It might be a sort of random thing because Wednesday nights are going to be experimental night. I'm probably going to talk about other things. Experimental in that I never have had the time to really make an overlay for these or figure out how to have a guest. Things like that. Wednesday is improvement night, basically, and I'm going to do it while live streaming, which is probably a terrible idea. But that is going to happen. So I'm announcing it here. If I have more of a concrete time, I'll tweet it out on Tuesday and again on Wednesday. Or I'll just say a reminder and just do it. That's a possibility. That gives you, I guess, motivation to subscribe and click on that bell there. Because sometimes I do random live streams. I haven't done it in a while, but I'm going to try to do them. Since we're all indoors, there's more of a reason for me to do this and to kind of keep you guys entertained. That's what I'm trying to do there. So yeah. Anyway, those are kind of my top of the show things. Will you stream Dark Souls on Wednesday? From Zane Powers. Thank you, Zane Powers. I dropped one of these Red Bulls, so I'm hoping this is not... Okay. I will not, because I don't know that game, but thank you for the first super chat of the night. I did get Red Bulls despite where we are. Hold on. There was one from Zane Powers, one part of the Discord, the another one. See, I was going to get to that, but anyway, Austin, thank you again for a super chat. Said, join the Discord during this time is a good way to talk to people, and Jim, and we're doing watch-alongs, Jack in the Box, I think, and more fun stuff soon. He's right. Also at the Discord, there's a new channel. I think we just came up. Well, Austin and Zane helped me do this, but there's a channel that just says Ask Jim. If you write a question on there, I will respond to it. In fact, I'm going to get to everyone tonight after the stream, by the way, who's on there. So if you've ever wanted to ask me anything and I missed your question, or you think of it on a Wednesday and you're like, well, I guess there's a stream on Wednesday now, bad example. But if there's a day you want to ask me something and you forget to do it when there is stream day, just go to the Discord, ask it, I will get to it. I've been meaning to do an AMA this week because questions always get cut off at the end for various reasons, but I never get to do that. This last week was just insane, so I really didn't get to it. Anyway, thank you, Austin, and thank you, Austin St. Powers, for running an amazing Discord. Cheers to you. But anyway, if you want to ask me something, join that Discord. Now, before we get going into movie news and the theatrical window that is completely falling apart, Ask a Ninja, I sort of remember Ask a Ninja, is exposed as a fake gamer girl. Totally. Alright, so this show and all my content is pretty much funded by viewers like you. I understand things are tight and crazy right now, and if you are not financially able to do so, I completely understand. However, if you are financially able to do so, I very much appreciate your support in helping to continue to make content, especially during this time. So either do that with Super Chat during the show or my Patreon, which is linked below in the description of this video. Anyway, let's get into it. Alright, so I do have actual movie news. There's it's kind of crazy because a lot of people are like, is there movie news? I'm like, what do you mean, is there movie news? Have you been scared for your life all week? I mean, probably. That is one of the things about this week is it feels like I haven't done one of these in like a month because it's been so crazy. But, I don't know. Especially in New York, it's very wild. I've been home since last Friday. So, just to give you sort of an update, Sophie was sick and then I kind of got her cold, but it was just the flu. But we've been kind of isolating since then, going out briefly for food and things like that. So, but anyway, if you're wondering, I'm good. And Buster really wants attention during this live stream for some reason. Okay, anyway. So, the first thing that sort of broke this whole thing was the whole thing with Universal and breaking the theatrical weight, basically. Because for a while, they weren't, I guess. For a while, we weren't really sure what was going on. And Universal, as theaters began to close and so forth, made the kind of earth-shattering decision to release Emma, The Hunt, and Invisible Man early it was yesterday, actually, on Friday, for $20 each for 40. You could watch them for 48 hours to make up some of the cash they were losing because there are no theaters open, or in that time theaters were closing rapidly and you could only have 50 people in them. We'll get to that later. But that was kind of the first move. And then Trolls 2 decided to go directly to On Demand. Now, it's going to come out on April 10th, again for $20 with a 48-hour window. The interesting thing about this is clearly Universal needed to make something. But what I keep hearing from people is there's not a lot of money in On Demand, and I'm not really surprised, especially anymore. Because for $20, I could either get like Disney Plus and Netflix for a month, or I could watch just Trolls 2. And especially right now that, people are losing their jobs and everything's going crazy and getting nuts and it's getting wild, that I think people probably don't want to spend $20 just on a single movie, despite it being a newer release. That's kind of my main thing that I think is against this. However, I do agree, and I know people are saying this in the chat, if you are a family, you have like 5 kids, that is a total deal for $20. That's what I never understood why On Demand wasn't taking off before streaming, because, if you saw a new movie and there's 2 people there, you're already saving money. No matter, I don't know where you'd live where that wouldn't save money. I don't know. I think the average ticket price is like $8. Usually it's not $20, so it works out better. But financially, I get why certain people won't want to do it, because you could get more bang for your buck, especially right now. But we'll see how often this happens with other releases, because Universal did this, then Bloodshot did it, then Birds of Prey did it, then Sonic the Hedgehog did. Birds of Prey was more interesting because it was the director tweeted that she wanted to do that as well, and then it sort of just happened. And Sonic the Hedgehog did it, and Onward did it as well, but Onwards is sort of a different case. But I'll get to that in a second. But this is just them realizing theaters aren't going to be open for a while. And theaters were closed for, I think, like 2 months in China. They're just opening them up now. And they're kind of figuring out what are theaters going to be? What are movies going to be? Like, how are we going to deal with this huge adjustment of the theatrical window with people not being able to go to movies currently? Like, how are we going to deal with that? And I think that's the big industry question right now. Like, what are we going to do with these movies? Do we shift things around? It was kind of a weird year. Oh, here we go from Niji Kichu. Fun fact, kind of to brighten the mood. Thank you, Niji Kichu. Cheers to you. Fun fact, the director of Blind Box wanted, I'm assuming you meant Bird Box, but I'm not, did you mean Bird Box? Anyway, wanted to keep the monster hidden, but the studio believed that showing it was scarier. They tried filming it, but the actress kept on laughing at the monster instead. That's funny. I've actually not seen Bird Box, believe it or not. Maybe I should see that, since I have more time now. Anyway, cheers to you. Need that Red Bull energy. Been a crazy day. Not really, but yeah. But I think what is going to be with all this theater thing is any movie that came out recently is probably going on demand if they haven't announced it yet. If they haven't announced it yet, is what is going to happen, because they need to make something off of these. And unless some big streamer is going to buy movies, which is a big possibility, a lot of people keep saying these movies are going to streaming. As I'm going to get to, only 2 have gone to streaming. On demand is not streaming. I know there's a lot going on in the world, but so first, I guess with Disney Plus, Onward is going right to Disney Plus. I think April 6th, or it's very soon. It's going to Disney Plus, and that's because I think Disney wanted to get some money from the on demand, see what they can get, but almost immediately it's going to be exclusively on Disney Plus, which I think is kind of shows where Disney's at, because they pushed Frozen 2 last Sunday out early. That was kind of the first of like the early release of things. Then they put Star Wars on demand a couple weeks early too, or digitally at least. So I think doing Onward that early shows like what they would much rather make money on. Like, they can take a loss. A lot of these studios can't take a loss. They need to make something off these movies. And with Disney pulling like basically like everything in existence, they need to make something off of it. And why not, clearly, like, parents are, if you didn't have a Disney Plus account, you're definitely not getting rid of it now, because you need something to do with your kids while you're trying to work and everyone's working from home. And you need that distraction. And hearing that you have an event like, hey kids, remember that movie you didn't see in theaters? Well, I've got news for you. It's on demand. It's on Disney Plus. So you can watch it there. I think that's probably Disney. I could see them doing that, but I don't think they have another movie they could really do that with. Like, is there another, like, Call of the Wild maybe? I could see that. I haven't heard anything about that one, but I could see them doing that with more stuff. The question is also, or would Antlers or New Mutants go to Hulu? That's the other thing we don't know right now. They haven't announced anything like that, but doing Onward on Disney Plus makes Disney Plus even that more interesting, because they're basically saying, like, forget whatever we're going to make on demand, which isn't much. Let's push it on Disney Plus. So people who don't have Disney Plus and have kids, that's an extra incentive. Not really, because Onward wasn't that successful. It's sort of interesting to think that I saw Onward in theaters. I will be able to tell people I saw Onward in theaters. And if you think about it, not many people did, because it wasn't out that long. It didn't make that much money. So it'll be interesting, like 20 years from now, like, whoa, you saw Onward in theaters? Crazy. You know, it's just like, it'll be one of the most underseen Pixar films of all time because of this. Probably the least attended Pixar movie ever, because people couldn't attend it. Most people will remember it on Disney Plus. So the other thing is, so the Lovebirds with Kumail Nanjiani and Issa Rae has been bought by Netflix. Basically, Netflix has said they're going to spend $100 million or like billions of dollars, whatever it was, a lot of money on content this year. All of their productions have been shut down. They have been really respectful of people working on those, but I'll get to that in a second. But they're basically going to be buying up movies. Now, they did this before. I believe Lovebirds is a Paramount thing. Yes. And they did that with Cloverfield Paradox. They haven't released what they're doing with Lovebirds. Like, there's no release date. It's not like, oh, it's coming out this point. I wouldn't be surprised if they did that, but it's not like Lovebirds was maybe going to be the biggest hit, but it feels like something that would play well on Netflix, and they need to make some money. And I wouldn't be shocked if, like, I don't know what else smaller release-wise, like Antebellum, which got pulled. I think Professional Young Woman wasn't, but so many things have gotten pulled. Who knows? There should be a I Saw Onward in Cinemas button pin. I agree, it should. But Lovebirds, you know, I think people will watch it on I think people will watch it on Netflix, and I think I'll probably do a review of it because I have no new movies to review, frankly, at all. So you know, just kind of older stuff. So I think it will become more interesting to people just starving for content, and Netflix is, you know, probably wants to get stuff out because they have more eyeballs in them than anyone. So I'm sure they will buy some of this content. I wouldn't be surprised. I'm a little surprised very few streaming services have gotten this stuff, but I think they're kind of hoping, and as this situation looks like it could drag on for maybe even 2 months, they don't think they'll do that. So other than that, in terms of, I mean, the interesting thing about this, and the before we get to things that are delayed, because there's a lot of that, Sonic, yeah, Sonic's out, and that Netflix will spend, when I said $100 million, they're going to spend $100 million to help out production crew, because anyone who's on a crew in a show or a movie has been out of work and is like basically losing money because they have to stay in self-isolation, and they're committed to paying these people throughout this time, which is really cool of them. So, but basically, NATO, the National Association of Theater Owners, is organization. Normally doesn't want the theatrical window, which is typically 90 days. I kept seeing people write 88 days, but I'm sure when you get to 88 days, no one's going to get too upset. You know what I mean? But in the theater organization has said that they do not expect any other studios to forego the theatrical window when those theaters are available. They don't expect this to become a common thing. And even in Universal, when it started saying, like, they're doing this with Trolls and The Hun, Emma, and The Invisible Man, if you're going to spend $20, Invisible Man, not a bad movie. Was Spies in Disguise, why aren't they putting that out? Have they done that? Did they? Why didn't they do that? Now that I'm thinking about it. That would be cool on Disney Plus. That's like, I might like that more than Onward. I don't know. But, yeah, I think I do. Yeah, they don't think this will happen, and it seems like everyone's maintaining that they won't. There's, like, rumors that they've had discussions about Wonder Woman 2. Warner Brothers basically, like, that's sort of, it's a discussion that they probably went like, yeah, no, fuck that. We're not doing that. So, you know, we'll see what happens with this, but it is a big deal. The interesting thing, so when theaters open again, because one day I have some hope that movie theaters will open again. And that's kind of the other thing with this whole discussion about the theatrical window. I don't know, I hope people want me to hear about this. As everything's being pulled, including Black Widow, David Copperfield, everything pretty much that's coming out. Other than SpongeBob and Scoob, I think they're still holding on there, hoping for holding on for dear life, hoping. But in China, when the theaters opened up, they actually, I'm not exactly sure all the movies they had, but they did have a 4K version of the first Harry Potter in theaters. And I think that would be really cool if what they did was when theaters open up again, they have a bunch of classics, 4K great restorations that you can go see. Since like everything that was going to be out in theaters is like on demand and stuff, let's like put out some of the big hits. Like put out the first Avengers again. Put out Casablanca. Let's get the Star Wars Lucas cut in 4K. In fact, I'd like that on Disney Plus too. Let's like, put out Wonder Woman earlier. Have Black Widow. Like theaters open on this date. You get Black Widow. You get Star Wars, you get Harry Potter, you get everything. Let's come to the theaters. Let's see movies again. I want it to be something like that. I think, I was telling people that there was this really great time in movies in France after World War II had ended, and they didn't have movies for a couple of years. And the couple of years they didn't have movies from like 1939, 1945, one of the greatest periods in Hollywood history. And so they were getting classic movie almost every week. And that's what started Truffaut and all those guys to create auteur theory. So I'm hoping Hollywood realizes that they have a time, like they had all this content that they couldn't put out. Let's have the best shit for like 2 months. Like boom, hit them hard every weekend. Get people coming back to the theater. That's what we should be doing. I want like a Black Widow, then Black Widow. Then we get Mulan. Then we get, just like go crazy. Quiet Place 2, all of it. I want it to be an event. I want people to love to go to the movies. Everyone's been sitting inside watching too many movies. So why wouldn't they want to come outside and see more? Oh, I see this is a problem, isn't it? Anyway, I'm hoping it comes back. Also to Boldly Flee, which Austin just said. But I'm hoping they are able to come back. The problem with this, and this kind of goes into what is going to happen, is things are going to get bought. And this is a real concern, and especially theaters. AMC, now the whole thing with the theater closing, I'll get to that first, I guess, is first, Regal just closed. We're just like on Monday, they're like, that's it, we're done. That's not happening anymore. And Cinemark, I forget, they closed too at some point. But then AMC basically started, Jim, you can never watch too many movies. That is very true in my case. AMC was going to do this thing where it was only 50 people allowed in an auditorium because it was originally 100, then they cut it down to 50, and then when Regal was like, we're just closing, then AMC was like, no, that's two, we were just joking about the 50 thing. So, I do not work at Regal. I just go to a lot of them. I don't know. But the problem with theater chains is a lot of people are saying AMC won't survive this. And that's the biggest theater chain in America. I'm not sure what Regal's status will be after this. But a lot of people have suggested that Amazon could buy one of these theater chains. Thank you for the support, Ransam Film. I appreciate it. Thank you for the super chat. Cheers to you, sir. Oh, here we go. Cheers to you, Sergio. My friend worked at Regal. He got laid off. I'm sorry for your friend. That sucks. I'm really sorry about that. So, I'm sorry for everyone. It's a rough time. I kind of don't even want to get into that. I'm okay right now, but I feel like a lot of it's scary out there. So, give your friend a hug. That's what I would say. So cheers to your friend there. Cheers to your friend. I'm sorry for him. That sucks, man. Just be nice to everyone right now because it's awful. That's all I'm going to say. So another super chat from Will. Nice to see you, Will. I didn't notice you in here before, so nice to see you. I don't know what it means, but they're taking the release years they've taken the release years entirely for Antlers, Woman and The Window. That's true. They have taken those off as well. I'm not sure if those would go to such a joyful, jolly stream. Sorry, Ryan. I'm not sure what they're doing with those, but I sort of think Disney will cut their losses because they do need Hulu numbers to spike. And if suddenly they're like, hey, these movies you were going to see. I mean, Woman in the Window, was that going to be the biggest hit? I don't know if that's going to change everything. cinematic wise, or for Hulu or anything. But I think it could help Hulu a bit, and Hulu's got some cool stuff going on. So actually, maybe it's in their best interest to do that. But thank you for saying something. Will. Cheers to you. So apparently, AMC as a company is worth $200 million. What I keep hearing, or around that. And everyone keeps saying that sorry, did I say AMC? I think I did. Anyway, AMC. Sorry, I freaked everyone out with my nose sniffle. Oh, Saber streaming? I wish I could. I was too busy to see that. Well, tell Saber Jim says what's up. I did say Black Widow. I've said all these things. Don't worry, guys. New Mutants, Chaos Walking, One in the Window, in a support group right now. Good one. But AMC costs about $200 million. So everyone says Amazon could buy that like no problem. Or Apple could buy that like no problem. And they're right. But here's the thing. Amazon is not going to buy AMC. And there's a particular reason why. Amazon has a really good relationship with Regal, not with AMC. Amazon has billboards and actual Amazon kind of stores in Regal cinemas. So that the Regal and Amazon relationship, it's already going on. This is something that I think I talked about once or twice, but last time I was there, I hope I get to go back to my favorite multiplex. They had Amazon shit all over the place. They had a Hunter's theater stand in. So clearly they're getting along. They have like a guy they can call there or whatever. So that shows me that if they're going to buy anybody, Amazon's going to buy who they're already friends with, who they've already got their shit in. That's easy. You know what I'm saying? So I think that could happen. That could clearly happen. You will see less entertainment companies when this is over. That is a given. Amazon and Apple, like I told you, had already been looking at MGM, Paramount, Sony, and buying them. This is a reality I've been talking about before coronavirus, and now it is something that could happen before this. We're all out of this isolation thing, or the people who are. I hope you are. That could happen. It could happen with the theater, and with the theater laws changing, with congressional laws changing over theater ownership, over studios not being able to own theaters. A major studio, a streamer who needs those streams. Saber says hi back. Thank you, Ryan. Who need streamers who need those screens to get filmmakers to work. Which is the best theater you'd recommend? I don't know if right now is the best time for that. But if they need those screens, like getting Scorsese to do The Irishman and so forth, being like, hey, we can put you in 1,000 screens. Guess what? We fucking own every theater in the world. So who's going to stop us? Am I right? And that's what that it would be such an advantage for them. And they could give a limited theatrical window for something. They could say, you know what? A week before Netflix drops a thing, it's going to be an AMC, or they'll buy Cinemark, or they'll buy a smaller theater chain. This is a reality right now because these things are not making money. I'm not an economics major, but I'm fairly certain you need to have money coming in on a regular basis. That's like a thing for a business, I've heard. So I think without that, it's going to be bad. Anyway, sorry. So the Apple, we're going to get. There's like two, but this is like crazy what this has done to. I mean, it's crazy what it's done to the world. Sometimes I'm just like, how am I in this world right now? Like, what's going on? I'm very like. Anyway, so Apple buying Disney. Now, there's certain things about this that could happen because Disney lost like some crazy amount of billions for during the stock market crashes, and Apple is has enough money that they could straight up just buy Disney. Now, there are reasons this could happen because I think everyone's looking at the content aspect of it because Apple Plus needs something. That streaming service is not working. Let's be real. Disney Plus is working. They have a ton of content. They have Fox as well. If they were to just buy Disney, that would fix their whole streaming problem. And they have a content library that's like, art. That basically what Apple Plus wanted was to be this PG thing and all that stuff. Hey, Sinram. They wanted this PG kind of thing, and Disney Plus already is that. So that could totally work. Oh, here we go. From Will. That's a big super chat. I'm going to take a big chunk for this. Another weird thing, there was a horror comedy supposed to be released in April, Monster Problem, starring Dylan O'Brien and Michael Rooker, has been pushed to April 2021 before the whole coronavirus thing. What do you mean before? Like, sorry. Will, do you mean that it was... Sometimes I feel like I'm just talking to one person. Do you mean that it was moved way before that? That's crazy. Anyway, thank you. That's a crazy super chat there, Will. Thank you very much. I very much appreciate it. Cheers to you, Will. That is interesting. I have heard some stuff move. Some stuff just moves anyway. Things move around the calendar, but they're very much moving things right now. So it's yeah. That's interesting. That's interesting. I'm assuming you mean it moved before. Well, I'm assuming that's what you mean by that. Yeah. Also, I hear Sinram might have a video coming about last week's thing. So you should subscribe to him now. I'm going to share it when he makes it. Sorry to hype up shit, Sinram. Now you have to do it. But he makes good stuff. Everyone should watch him. Anyway. It's just... Monster Problems, I remember when I read about it from Will, it sounded very cool. And I hope people... I mean, I think people knew things could be moved. And the other thing is, what might have moved it is foreign territories. If you're not getting that foreign territory, you might, like, let's say that movie would have made, like, $5 million in Italy. You ain't making $5 million in Italy right now. That's not happening. So, I think obligations. Well, anyway, if Sinram, you should subscribe to Sinram. I hope he gets to do that. But I think no, it is interesting it got moved, but the release calendar is going to be crazy for the next year and a half and so forth. So okay, Zane Power says, would they get away with it with antitrust laws? I'm assuming you mean the theater thing. With the theater thing, that law has been changed, so they could get away with it. With buying other studios and things like that. Oh, with Apple Disney. Blah. Forgot where I was there. With Apple Disney, I think they would probably, because Trump's sort of just cool with that stuff. So also, cheers to you, Zane Powers. Thank you very much. I think they would. But and a lot of people have brought this up, why they wouldn't. Disney is not just a content generator. I mean, they are like the most successful one. So I understand why people think that. But they have theme parks, cruise ships, merchandise. They are a huge entity unto itself that Apple does not get that part of it. And they do not want to be involved in that part of it at all. And apparently even some insiders have said that's kind of what's been holding them back, because they would basically have to oversee stuff that they're like, what? A fucking cruise ship? Like, do we have to put Apple technology in this crap? Like, I don't want to do that. So apparently, like, even the theme parks are sort of interested in, but there's so many aspects that they'd have to sell off or figure out how to run. And it's like, logistically, apparently, they're just like, oh man, my head hurts. Forget it. We're rich. I don't care. So that seems to be, from what I've read, the thing that's turned them off it the most is the cruise ships and the theme parks and all the, like, tourism and all the extra things. If they could just buy a movie studio. So in that way, maybe what's interesting, if Fox hadn't been bought before this, I think Fox would have been bought by somebody at this point. So it might Paramount, everyone said Paramount's up for grabs. I think Paramount might go because of this. I'm also surprised, before we get into more things, getting delayed things, that nobody has launched their streaming service early, like an HBO Max or Peacock or something. Like, people would do it. Like, Quibi's gonna have a crazy opening because people are like, yeah, why not Quibi? Sure. Which I think, man, what if coronavirus makes Quibi popular? What if, how everyone thinks Lysol, like the Lysol companies made coronavirus, and then I always hear people say that, and then everyone claps like, yeah, you tell them, like big Lysol has that kind of dough. No, fuck that. That's stupid. Here's what really happened. Quibi knew if we were all stuck indoors, we would have to sign up for Quibi because we have nothing else to talk about by the time Quibi launches. I see you, Katzenberg. I wouldn't put this past you at all. Someone put that and add him. Does he have a Twitter? Probably not. Don't, because if he created coronavirus, he could totally have me killed. Anyway, sorry. So the other problem, what the fuck is a Quibi? How dare you, Paleo? We've talked about Quibi on many nights. Sorry, I don't know where I'm doing with this. This is a wacky stream. No, nobody. Alright. I think I need water. So, Minions got delayed. Rise of Gru has been delayed. Sort of, we're not sure about the new date, but it was delayed. I will say, and Ryan told me about this, but he presented to me in this way, but he is right, that they did it mainly for the employees, and it seems like they're going to pay everyone. And what was going on in France, they felt it was the most responsible thing to do. They were pretty much done, but they're like, let's just delay it. I think that is the good thing to do. Probably also because Universal was like 2020. But until we have a cure, 2021 and maybe even 2022. And that's actually something the Academy Awards have really talked about. That's a real thing. They've actually talked about not having an Oscars for 2020. And 2021 and 2020 will count together, basically. And they've done that before in the early years of the Oscars. So that's a conversation they've actually had. And the Cannes Film Festival has been moved back to June. And Jared Leto apparently didn't know there was a coronavirus. Oh, is it lagging a lot? It seems okay on my end. It's better now. Yeah, I've noticed YouTube's. I apologize about. I have very little control over the wait. Where's... Hold on. How are we streaming if it's not... what? He was right there a minute ago. This is very strange. Huh. Sort of want to stop, but I can't see the program right now. Huh, that is weird. Okay. Huh. Options. Okay, I'm not sure what's going on. We're just gonna keep going until this maybe stops. Not... Oh, wait, hold on. Oh, boo. I see what you did, OBS. I didn't ask you to do that. Okay, we're fine. Jesus. I think if it's lagging, the internet's crazy right now. Sorry for that. I knew it did that, and then it just hit itself in a stupid way that I never pick, and I guess when I was moving stuff around. Anyway, alright, so everything's crazy. Let's move on to a do we have any non-coronavirus? Oh, Idris Elba's sick. Jared Leto didn't know. The Climb got delayed. Oscar window. I feel like this is... so the YouTube... So apparently streaming... Everyone's been streaming everything right now. And things have been a bit crazy in terms of so many people streaming. And apparently YouTube has... in terms of, it's not getting demonetized incorrectly, and that people are actually watching it. Apparently there's less of those because of coronavirus, which is great since, more people are watching these things right now. That's exciting. Yeah. That's scary, but also in the UK, apparently, the bit rates for YouTube and for Netflix are, they're lowering them, and they're having issues with buffering news. I'm not sure, but that... no, not right now, unfortunately. So, in one last one, I guess, yeah, and then we'll get to the Razzies and other stuff. Sorry, this is stretched on for a long time now. Is that one of the Simpsons writers, Bill Oakley, says that the Osaka flu episode of The Simpsons didn't predict the coronavirus, and he really doesn't like that people have been saying that. That is not something they don't agree. The Simpsons writers do not like the people who have been saying The Simpsons predicted it. They find it kind of racist. They said it was sort of a joke because they didn't think anyone would think if you sneezed into a box and then it got mailed to you in 6 weeks that you would get sick from that. They thought this Ashoka, whatever, who was previously in Star Wars Clone Wars, created by Dave Filoni. It's kind of Dave Filoni's character, as Dave Filoni has continued to, I will talk about Cat Butthole soon, don't worry, has continued to direct The Mandalorian and be very involved in it, has cast Rasorio Dawson as this character in an episode of The Mandalorian. I think that sounds really cool. I don't know that character too much, I will say, but I don't know that character too well, but I will say that she that from what I've seen of that character, that's good casting. And Ahsoka, thank you, Ryan. This is Ahsoka Tana. This is what it's like making every show ever, by the way, is I send Ryan a bunch of stuff and then he has to correct my pronunciation, and it's a whole thing. And I even screwed stuff up, which, anyway, I try. It's a lot of shows. But Ahsoka has been cast. I think that's huge news. Apparently Slash Film broke that story. Give them respect, especially Peter Soretta. Their movie news podcast, the Slash Film Daily, has been really good this week. They've been able to kind of deal with the kind of horror and craziness of everything getting delayed and the theatrical window being thrown up and everything. And they did a great job this week, I have to say. But he broke this story. So there are photos released of West Side Story this week. I would show them, but they're not that cool, so whatever. But Spielberg's West Side Story, it's probably a remake that I don't think he's going to do better than Robert Weiss's version, but he's doing it anyway. Apparently it is going to be a little different and apparently more realistic, which is not something I wanted. And yeah, it looks very colorful and all that stuff. Now, the Midnight Gospel trailer Midnight Gospel drops on Netflix on April 20th. Will we all be in isolation and can pay for Netflix at that point? Who knows? But it will drop on April 20th. It is Pembleton Ward, creator of Adventure Time's new show. It actually looks really cool. It's definitely more adult, but to me, it looks... I'm excited for it. I'm excited for that one. Probably do a review of it somewhere on here after I have seen it. And then the Razzie Awards came out, and then we'll talk about. Hold on. Then we'll talk about the butthole cut, basically. Anyway, sorry. So if you want to know who won the Razzies, so the Razzies were usually happen at the same time as the Oscars, the same day as the Oscars. That's usually what you do. But they decided because the Oscars had a shorter window, which I'm sure they're very thankful for at this point. Good looking out there, Oscars, I guess. The Razzie people decided they did not want to do that, so they're going to just release the nominations Oscar weekend and then release the winners. So here are the winners of the Razzies. Apparently they had a YouTube video or something. I meant to watch it, but it's also the Razzies, so why I didn't. Anyway, so here they are. Worst Picture, Cats, of course. Worst Actor, John Travolta in Fanatic and Trading Paint, don't know it. Worst Actress, Hilary Duff in The Haunting of Sharon Tate. Worst Supporting Actress, Rebel Wilson in Cats. Worst Supporting Actor, James Corden in Cats. Worst Screen Combo, any two half feline, half human hairballs, Cats. Cool. Worst Director, Tom Hooper, Cats. Worst Screenplay, Lee Hall and Tom Hooper. Was that it? Cats. Worst Remake, ripoff, or sequel, Rambo Last Blood. Didn't see it. Worst reckless disregard for human life and public property, Rambo Lost Blood. And finally, the Razzie Redeemer Award goes to Eddie Murphy for Dolomite Is My Name, which, yeah, So, as predicted, Cats kind of took over that shit right there, which is good for Cats. Good for them. Also, with Cats this week, we found out from a tweet Cats. I mean, I think Cats deserve to win because it's kind of the big, kind of ridiculous cult movie of the year. You know what I mean? So, I think that is something. They earned it. Basically, they earned it. They earned all those Razzies. They needed that to go be a cult midnight movie for the rest of their lives, basically. But another Cats thing came out, and this came out on the 18th, which was earlier in the week when things were even worse. But Ben Meckler tweeted first. He tweeted, "I desperately need to tell a book about the making of Cats. It could really help me get through this." And then a guy named Jack Waz tweeted after that, said, a VFX producer friend of mine was hired in November to finish some of the 400 effect shots in Cats the movie. His entire job was to remove CGI buttholes that had been inserted a few months before, which means that somewhere out there exists a butthole cut of Cats. So basically, much like how Cats don't care if they show their butts, if you didn't know that, they really don't care if you see their butts at all. That they were going to insert those cat buttholes into Cats, basically. So yeah, I think this is a distraction everyone wanted. There's another one about Vin Diesel right after this, which is also funny. But this became a trending topic. I think everyone wants them to release the butthole cut. Has this been released on Blu-ray? I'm not even sure. If it has been released on Blu-ray, they should come out with a deluxe edition, like Blade Runner, and have the first theatrical release cut, the finalized theatrical release cut, then the butthole cut, and then just another one without all the CG in it. That's 4 cuts. That's 4 cuts people would pay for. Those are 4 cuts we even know about. So that's 4 cuts of the movie. I just bought you a Cats box set that I would totally buy. That sounds amazing. That's true. Ryan brought this up before, but Universal did approve of CGI cat butthole in the Secret Life of Pets films. So, yeah. Oh, Cats is out on Blu-ray next week. Cats should be on streaming. We should get more stuff on streaming in general. But it's crazy about the butthole thing. The other great distraction, and I don't even think this is real, by the way. I think someone paid Vin Diesel to distract all of us because we needed it. Vin Diesel said that he had been told by Steven Spielberg recently that he should get back to directing. And Vin Diesel, before you're like, why would Steven Spielberg talk to Vin Diesel? Well, Vin Diesel was in Saving Private Ryan. He was one of the people who saved Private Ryan. So he basically paid. He said to Vin Diesel, was like, when I hired you for Saving Private Ryan, I didn't hire you to be an actor. I hired you because you were a filmmaker, and I really liked your film, which is a film I keep forgetting the name of. But it apparently went to Sundance the same year as Jon Favreau's Swingers, which he wrote. He did not direct. But apparently he has been thinking about how his Sundance class or whatever, and what became of Jon Favreau, and he's looking like, maybe I should direct more. So even though Vin Diesel is a very successful producer and all this, he's considering directing again because of Steven Spielberg's encouragement. So we'll see about that. But apparently Steven Spielberg has been telling Vin Diesel to direct more. That's the thing. Only a few more things, and then I'll do the Spider-Man 3 news, and then I'll take a quick break, and then... Well, only a few more things. Quick break, then Spider-Man 3, then questions is the deal. Anyway, so I'm going to share this in the chat, but the Hungarian National Film Institute is offering 90 movies, shorts, and docs online. And not Mike Kobla made a list of 28 This is a Google Doc, 28 with English subs, and there's recommendations in it. It was really nice of him to do it. So if you're bored and you've always wanted to watch Hungarian films, I'm going to tweet, this is in the chat now, check out that doc and check out those, because they're free Hungarian movies. I don't know much about Hungarian films. I might try to watch one. I think that's really cool. Probably just a short. We'll see. But I think that's a cool resource, and really thanks to him for doing that. I think that's really cool. So check out that. I will tweet out his doc and a link to what that is later to the site to check out some free Hungarian films if you wanted to, and he's gave you a list so you can do that if you want to. In other news, She-Ra's final season was announced, coming out on May 15th, when we may or may not still be in isolation, so that's a thing. And finally, Reno 911 released a trailer for their show on Quibi, which is seriously the only show I really want to watch on Quibi, basically. But this was a good ad. This is like the first ad for Quibi that made me go, oh, well, I do really like Reno 911. And it basically was like a skit from Reno 911. If someone had played me that and go, remember this from season 4? And I would just yeah, looks like Reno 911. It was the same kind of joke. It looked just as funny. It looked great. And it's a new clip from a new episode. So, if anything, I'm actually excited for that. So if you need a laugh, someone says, Jim, tell me a joke. I don't know what a joke, sorry. I guess I'm going to review the Nostalgia Critic. That's sort of a joke. But, my mouth is being weird today. But basically, it's very funny what Reno 911 did with this little short. I would say this little clip is pretty cool. So it's literally the best ad I've seen for Quibi so far. Alright, so I'm going to go to the bathroom real quick and blow my nose, because I like keep colds for a while, so I'm still with that. And then we will talk about Doug Walker's review of Spider-Man 3. I'm going to try to get to as many questions as I can tonight, so we'll do that, and that'll be that. So I will be right back, and yes. Alright, cool. Shouldn't Jim be rationing his Red Bulls? Probably. Before we talk, about Spider-Man 3 on this, let's talk about, let's talk about Final Destination 6, which I realize I forgot about a little bit after I finished this. So there is a concept for Final Destination 6. It actually sounds really cool. Maybe not as cool post coronavirus, but we're okay. Maybe not as cool post coronavirus, but it's still actually cool. The idea is basically, instead of following teenagers and so forth, it's going to follow first responders, because of all the danger that they inflict on that. So I think that sounds cool to me, honestly. It's a cool way to take the franchise. I think it'd be a fun thing to do with the franchise. I think it'd be a fun way to take that group, and that concept, and especially that kind of job where you're constantly like being put in harm's way and like escaping death. It'd be a cool, I don't know, it sounds like ready to go for that. I don't know, I think it'd be kind of neat. So yeah, I don't know, I do think it sounds cool. But anyway, alright, so thank you for being here, Paleo, by the way. Before we talk, let me have a little bit of Red Bull, even though it's not a super chat. I just want the energy for Spider-Man 3. Yes. Oh, thank you for liking the Joanna Man review. What was I going to say? Oh, yeah, I hope everyone, by the way, doing the social distancing, and if you see anyone who needs help, I've been cleaning my apartment building. I'm helping clean the apartment building every day. I take one of the shifts, so we keep the place clean and make sure we're corona free and all that good stuff. So I hope that continues to happen. I hope, continue to have some good luck in this situation. So please try to do that. Anyway, cheers to everyone. Okay, so Spider-Man 3. So I wanted to talk today, during my only segment today, I wanted to talk about Doug Walker's, or a Nostalgia Critic's review of Spider-Man 3. Now, before you ask, I did actually watch the first viewing of when Doug and his brother were watching Spider-Man 3. What I find sort of interesting, well, not really interesting, but odd about the Nostalgia Critic is so many times when he reviews a movie, his thoughts are spread out actually in so many different videos. Like, just for one of these Spider-Man videos, sometimes he'll have a first viewing, an actual Nostalgia Critic video, and then a making of. And then sometimes he's had a previous thing, or a previous discussion, or a previous video. And I just think, like, that's not what a review is. Like, most of the time when you go, I want to know this critic's review of a movie, I'm not going to listen to their podcast also. They might say, well, I have an additional thoughts on this theory that doesn't fit in a review. That's fine. But it feels like there's other things that should go into the review that aren't getting there. And it's already like, Nostalgia Critic reviews are pretty long for reviews of movies anyway. So it's like, that whole concept is bizarre to me. I have to say, there's just like way too many. But, and I feel like he was more negative on it, although he highlights even in the first watch that there are parts of it he likes, particularly the Sandman, when Sandman realizes he's been transformed into the Sandman, I guess. Like, that's a beautiful scene, and I agree with him about that. But, and there's certain things, like, he's very consistent about. If you watch all three, which now I have, he continues, like, jokes going on between these three films, so I think he kind of almost understands that there are a lot of people who are going to watch all three. And I will also say, I haven't reviewed a ton of Doug Walker content, but of his reviews, I guess I've done The Wall. This would be like the fourth one I've done. This is probably the best thing I've seen from him in a long time. Like, it just seems like so ready. It just seems so ready for him. And it felt like he kept hinting about Spider-Man 3, like the entire time he was talking about the other two. Like, he hinted at, not the entire time, but he hinted at it several times, because it feels like he really wanted to do that. And that feels like ready for his kind of skill set. But what's interesting is, in this review, the whole kind of crux of this review is the idea that he wants to say, hey, I don't think this movie is absolutely terrible. There's some interesting... I think there are parts that are ridiculous and terrible, but I think you know, it's different than how everyone else perceives it, and almost how the internet expects the nostalgia critic to sort of just rip this up. And he has, like, him in the J. Jonah Jameson outfit, and his, like, other actor people he employs, and they're kind of going, like, they're kind of representing, like, the people who expect him to just rip it down, and then him acting like, well, there are parts I like, and I like this part, and things like that. So it's actually sort of an interesting idea, I will say. It's probably the only concept I've seen him do well since I've seen him doing these Spider-Man reviews. I'm actually kind of surprised how good he is at doing that. And he sort of over-defends it, but I will say most of the Thomas Hayden Church stuff is good in this movie. I will agree with him on that. But his whole thing with, like, so in this, when he has this whole idea for this whole thing where it's like what the internet wants him to do versus how he sees the movie, and he even has, like, Doug Walker plays J. Jonah Jameson, who represents the internet, which is, like, sort of interesting and funny, but also sort of just stupid. And him in the weird hair and everything, it's quite a thing, and he's very much into it. You know, I get it's hard to take someone seriously when they think they are a genius. That's interesting, Jordan. Sorry. I get when, I'm not sure. Oh, yeah. I get that he, like, there's certain people he wants to do, and he wants to do all these characters and impressions. And it does feel like if anyone has a cool performance, he wants to do that. But it just felt like a little too out there, but I will say it sort of worked in the crux of everything that was going on. He just thinks J.K. Simmons is really cool. But he doesn't really talk about it much within Spider-Man 3, really, but whatever. You know, I do think the more controversial one of all of these will actually be, because this is kind of mild. It was actually a decent review, but in terms of his reaction to it, it's sort of like, hey, there are good things. And I agree. That's sort of the weird thing with Spider-Man 3, where there's, like, the Thomas Hayden Church stuff is interesting, and it'll have this shot that you like, and that shot that you like, and things of that nature. Sorry. This shot that you like, and that shot you like, and things of that nature. But then, at the same time, it doesn't all work. There's, like, too many weird kind of things going on. So it's sort of like, I used to think the movie would work. If you took out a certain thing and put this in, then the movie totally works. That's what I used to think. And I was totally wrong. That's not true. That does not work. I don't know why. Like, there's no way you could save it. It's so unwatchable and horrible. But I do think his Spider-Man 2 review, if he actually likes Amazing Spider-Man 2, I would find that to be bizarre, because that is, like, really bad. I think Amazing Spider-Man 2 and Spider-Man 3 are kind of like neck and neck. I'd say the worst. I'm not sure which one. 2 might even be worse than 3. I haven't seen 2 in a while. Amazing Spider-Man 2. Spider-Man 2 is great, but anyway. But I agree with them. All the Thomas Hayden Church stuff was really good. And I wish it had just been a movie about Thomas Hayden Church, because it feels like Sam Raimi had a good Sandman movie in him, but instead we get this dumb thing. But he also kind of gets into, like, how some of the special effects are bad, but sometimes they're actually kind of neat and cool. Like, a lot of those shots where, like, you know, with Bryce Dallas Howard, where, like, the camera pulls out when, like, the building's crashing. I'm like, I agree with him there. You know, and I think one thing the Nostalgia Critic did really well in this is highlights how this movie has some really bad stuff, but there are actually some cool stuff in it as well. But, or even James Franco being kind of fun in this movie, kind of like trolling and like definitely having a lot. I mean, I think Franco is usually pretty good in this, probably better in the sequels than the first one, but he's really good in this movie actually, and it feels like he's actually having fun. The other thing, okay, so this, I will say, yeah, I did. I didn't like. I don't love his kind of review style, but I have to give him credit after watching some of these. Maybe I'm kind of just gotten so drunk on the fact that I'm watching Nostalgia Critic more to do these reviews, doing this kind of Nostalgia Critic, me reviewing the Nostalgia Critic, reviewing Spider-Man movie series, I guess, that I'm doing on this show. So next week we're talking about Amazing Spider-Man. But I did think, so he does this ad break in the middle of the video, and he did one for Stamps.com. And before he said, like, Stamps.com always asks me to they always send me a script, but they're like, put your own spin on it and stuff like that. But he said the script they sent is pretty funny considering coronavirus. And it was actually a good bit he had going, because he brings up, like, how they said, don't you want to avoid the post office? And he's like, right now, yeah. And it was like, I was like, oh, yeah, it was actually funny. It was like the funniest part of the video was him reading a regular Stamps.com ad, because it was so funny. Sorry, my whole face is not contributing very well. But it was actually like a funnier bit. I was actually surprised how good he was at doing this. I think it's almost like I've always heard when he steps up his game, it gets like weird and stupid and doesn't make any sense. And this is like one of the few times I've seen him step it up in a way that I was like, oh, this actually worked. I still think that the thing with the best black suit one was from Spectacular Spider-Man. One of my least favorite things about this black suit movie in Spider-Man 3 is that they never really got into the kind of dark side of it, really. They just kind of like... And the black suit didn't even look that different. Like, it just looked like they... Like, what if they made the Spider-Man suit but black, and it's like more than that, frankly. He also... Why does he bring up Rick and Morty so much? It's like embarrassing. It's like your cousin who you're like, oh yeah, I like animation. Have you seen Rick and Morty? And you're like, dude, stop making Rick and Morty jokes. Like, everybody likes Rick and Morty, but like, he just says it a lot. It's like he clearly very much likes Rick and Morty. You should remix my ums. I'd be into that. Yeah, he also admits the room thing in here. It's also interesting. So Nolan brought up that, if you saw Nolan and I on Twitter, that there's a part where, when Tobey Maguire is doing his whole like crazy dance thing in the jazz club, not the dance thing outside, which is also crazy, but the dance thing inside, that he basically says the people who are really selling this are the black extras, and he like gives them the award. And Nolan said that Doug Walker ended racism. He does an even worse thing in this when he does where he does like a black guy voice in the middle of it, which I'm surprised Nolan didn't notice. I don't know. I should have called him about it. And he also does a Trump diss, so like Doug Walker's getting political. And he likes the he likes the he likes the Venom in this, which I'm like, no. So I will say, I just like don't like Tobey Maguire's Venom. It doesn't work for me. I know he was like, well, it's sort of a different Venom, which is like, I get where he's coming from, but no, I don't think. I think in some ways this movie was more close to Doug Walker's skills as a critic and worked for more what works for him, and I think that's why maybe this review worked better for him. Like, I expect his Amazing Spider-Man 2 review to be probably better than his Amazing Spider-Man 1 review, because he's much better at doing bad movies. And he actually is self-critical, bringing up how he brought up the room thing. He's like, why does that keep happening? And like, he seemed like almost like because the interesting thing about him in this series, other than The Wall, is everyone hated The Wall, but there's no The Wall 2. So he can't make a review of The Wall 2 and see what everyone thought of him and then do anything with that. He's just sort of like, I don't, what is he going to make a, musical review of like the Fame or something? Like, there's like no connection between The Wall and anything. So in this, he can like see where it's going and see where the audience, and like, I think the interesting thing about a franchise, often any franchise where you're doing a series, is you see where the audience is taking it. And it seems like he took that in, and especially he was really considering the audience in this. And I think that actually turned out to be one of his better, sort of overall, kind of a better review from him, to be honest. I'm not a fan of him. I don't think it's like the greatest review of Spider-Man 3. I myself actually have not reviewed Spider-Man 3 because I was waiting for the MCU Spider-Man 3 to do that. But I have to give him credit because I think this sort of, you know, all his hype for this happening. I wanted him to do the Nostalgia Critic do the walk, like the walk around thing, and do like going out of the room and doing the dance thing. I mean, even Trailer Drake did that. Why can't Doug Walker do that? I don't understand that. But you know, we'll see. But I do think this worked better for him. So I can't really knock him for that. I think this is probably the Nostalgia Critic review of like the most as of late. But we'll see how he goes. I'm really curious to see, because he likes the Mark Webb films, and I don't like how he praises, like, he thinks like more realism and stuff works, because like Spider-Man isn't like a realism character, and I'm like, you don't even like it's not like Doug Walker likes like kitchen sink like dramas or something. So I find it weird. It just feels like a very nitpicky thing that doesn't really make any sense when you think about it. But regardless, I thought he actually did a good job with Spider-Man 3, which is a better job than anyone who actually worked on Spider-Man 3 actually did. Alright, so it's Comic Drake. You know, he can be Trailer Drake too. I don't know. He had that too. You know, he had both. So let's do the questions, and then I would like Doug Walker to come on. You know, I'll be honest with him, I think. So I have 2 Patreon questions, and then I'll do a lot of your guys' questions, then we'll get out of here. Yummy Red Bull. So I will get to it. I think Ransam Film right there is the first question, and I'm going to treat it as such. Okay, so Sinram said, Quentin Tarantino has mentioned his interest in directing. By the way, before I finish this, check out Sinram, subscribe. His channel is great. He's working on a thing, I think, about what I said about 3-act structure, which he disagrees with. But I think I said he had a lot of thoughts. He should make a video out of it, and I'm sure he'll get angry that I did that. That I said that about 3-act structure, not that I promoted him. I said he sent me what he was going to say. I'm well aware what he's going to do. Oh, so hold on. Here we go from Will. Nothing to do with Spider-Man 3, but Bermuda Triangle, originally helmed by Sam Raimi and Ryan Reynolds, has been changed to Scott Derrickson and Chris Evans. That's actually what I find interesting. I guess I'll open another one. There you go, Will. Look what you did. What's interesting about that, Will, is, and everyone, is that Sam Raimi and Scott Derrickson sort of switched projects, because it looks like, I think Sam Raimi, I've heard from a lot of people, pretty much sealed his deal for Doctor Strange 2. So that was Scott Derrickson. He got fired from, or left, whatever, Doctor Strange 2, and Sam Raimi was supposed to do Bermuda Triangle originally, so they kind of flip-flopped, which is sort of weird. But anyway, cheers to you, Will. Thank you. Whoa. Thank you for all the super chats tonight. Oh man, I got a big one from Paleo there. All right, so a big question, not, you know what I mean. All right, let's see. Okay, Ransam Film. All right, there we go. Hold on. So Sinram, Quentin Tarantino has mentioned his interest in directing a Star Trek movie, but I think a better fit for him would be a comic book series, Outer Darkness, which is kick-ass. It's about the crew of a spaceship, but most of them hate each other and are plotting to undermine or kill their shipmates. Tarantino would make an awesome film out of that. Is there a comic book or novel or whatever you would like to see him adapt for his final film? Comic book. I don't know as many novels, but if it's going to be a comic, I actually think he would do a good Punisher, which might be a basic answer, but I don't know if anyone's ever brought that up with him. I think he'd do a good Daredevil. I think he'd do a good, not the Max, but I think Aronofsky could do a good the Max, to be honest with you. Maybe Queen and Country. No, I think that would be a Lyman. Doug Lyman would do a good Queen and Country. Quentin Tarantino, I'm going to stick with Punisher because at least that's interesting. So there we go. Ty Hallett from another Patreon question says, if you were cast in Suburban Nights, what fantasy character would you want to dress up as? I've never seen Suburban Nights. I might review it this year for the December 1st thing I have with Nolan this year. We'll see. I'd probably be one that's the least lame or funniest answer. I would say I'd be Todd in the Shadows because I like him. So I'm going to go with that. I hope that's a good answer. I haven't seen that movie. Ask me again. I'm sorry. That's not a great one. All right. So starting with Ransom Film and going down. If my second feature film ever screens in New York, will you see it and review it? Also, sorry for only $1 super chat. I get paid bi-weekly. Ransom Film, never apologize. It is whatever you can contribute is always appreciated. So never feel bad at all for that. Of course, I would come see it. I don't know if I'd review it because I don't like to review small movies. Because unless it is an insanely... I haven't seen this film. This isn't a knock to you. The thing about reviewing small films is, one, from a critical standpoint, I will sit you down and I will review it to you yourself. But making a review of it, nobody would probably... If no one's heard of it, it's not going to get watched, unfortunately. And additionally, unless it's like a glowing review, which would help the film, if it wouldn't help the film, I wouldn't want to do that to a really small movie because that's not fair, you know. So the whole context of it would be different, but I wouldn't want to hurt you in any way because I think you're cool and I like you as a person, so I wouldn't want anything bad to happen to you or your film and me to negatively do that, even if I, opinion-wise, wasn't, you know, however I felt about it. So that would be my only thing, but I would come and see it, and I would tell you my honest thoughts. I hope I answered that right. Not Plausible asks, can we rename Movie Crap the Doug Walker Review show? No, because the Doug Walker thing will end. I think it's just because I was committed to the Spider-Man thing, and I kind of like doing it, and people seem to like it, and I don't know. I'm surprised, like, when I was watching Spider-Man 3, I thought, oh, my review of his review is going to be great. And I was like, yeah, you know, it's kind of better for him, so whatever. I don't know. Yeah, sorry I do it so much. It won't be, I think it's only the next two, and then I'm not going to do it unless he does something ridiculous. But, yeah, and then I'll probably stop it till he makes a fool of himself again, so next week. Let's see. Major Mekazawa. I just finished this show earlier this month. Loved it. So I was wondering, what are your thoughts on the HBO series 6 Feet Under, if you've seen it? I have not seen it. I've seen like an episode. It seemed good when I saw it, but I don't have really great thoughts on it. So yeah. Sorry about that. Ben Reilly was the Spider-Man you see. Doug, probably. Okay. That's funny, I guess. We did... Well... Let's see. Question. Since it's topical at the moment, would you consider reviewing the Animal Crossing anime Dobosuto no Mori at some point, possibly for a Patreon review vote? I would for a Patreon review vote. Probably not otherwise, but ask me in a few weeks as this keeps going. Austin, can we get a spectacular Spider-Man was canceled too soon rant? I don't know if I can get a rant, but maybe you will. Let's see where we go with this. I do think it was canceled too soon. I think it was the best Spider-Man show there ever was. I think it is maybe, other than Spider-Verse, the best interpretation of the character I've ever seen. I liked how it incorporated the seasons of the seasonal nature of NYC. Even though at first you look at that cartoon like that's not New York, but it gets the vibe of New York. It gets the feel of New York. It gets the best version of Spider-Man I've ever seen. I let my dad use the Blu-ray. Like he got me Blu-rays for Christmas one year, and I said, if you get this, as soon as you get the Blu-ray set, just open it and watch it, and then wrap it up as soon as it's time to give it to me. And he really enjoyed it. Everyone I know who's watched the show loves it. It deserves more attention. Disney should be promoting it. If there was ever any streaming show I was ever going to get another season of, it would be that one, because they did such a stellar job. It's probably one of my favorite animated shows of the previous decade. I love that show. I was even DVRing episodes of it way past it was canceled just to watch them before I got the Blu-ray. But the Blu-ray transfer is great. I've always wanted to do reviews of season 1 and season 2. I never found the time because it's even hard. Sorry, my nose is being anyway. Of season 1 and season 2, but it's always hard to do a whole season review. But it's an absolutely great show, and it was canceled too soon. And damn, you got me to do it, Austin. So there you go. I'm Tutley enough. Am I Tutley enough for the Turtle Club? Yeah. I've never seen Master of Disguise. I'm kind of curious now after I saw the whoa, we lost the You lost the thread there. Okay, Zane Powers, question. So you'd rather talk about how movies are fucked rather than play fun games with us? From Zane Powers. Okay, well, I'm sorry about that. It's hard because even, I think, with being home all the time, I still have a kid to watch and stuff like that. I might incorporate games and other things later, but I'm sort of just trying to talk about what's going on. But I might do that in the future. But I'm sorry that I can't be in the watch rounds and stuff. The every Adult Swim show ever thing really got me busy the other day, that Friday. So I'm sorry about that. Question: any thoughts on the Angry Video Game Nerd movie? I've actually never seen it. I think for a little bit it was in the review vote, and then that person stopped being a patron. So I have not seen it yet, but I feel like it'll probably if I do see, I would like to see it. Actually, I meant to see. I should have seen it at the time, and I didn't. So anyway, from Not Plausible, will you ever recreate your profile picture in real life? It's not a bad idea. Maybe that's cool. Question from Paleo Steno, or Paleo Steno, maybe, probably Steno. Question: for all the movies being postponed, do you think Fathom events will be released digitally? Oh, that's an interesting one, because there was this movie for Made in Abyss that was supposed to happen next month. I want to see. I haven't heard much. That's an interesting question, Paleo. Actually, I haven't heard anything about Fathom event stuff. I wouldn't be surprised. The thing with Fathom event stuff is, I don't know, because sometimes you get an early release through a Fathom release and then they go digitally, so it depends on what exactly that movie's plan was. But I think they probably will do something like that, because they even have a release schedule. So I'd assume they're going to do something like that, but I don't know fully what they're going to do with it. Maybe, but I know those things make a lot of money for those movies, so they might have actually pulled back everything until they can do that again. But they might just release it digitally because Fathom was like, look, this is just too crowded to figure out, so whatever. Because I think that no one wants to get a shitty release date, which I'm sure someone is going to get through this whole thing. But I would imagine they would, but I don't know that specific film and what Fathom does with that. But Fathom is more releasing it. I look to whoever made the film and go from there. But that's, yeah, I don't know what I've actually not thought about Fathom events during this whole thing, believe it or not, guys. So, yeah. Alright, so, question from Jacob's Shelter. Question, I said this before, but are you willing to take challenge pissing from Big Bill Hell in Baltimore? I don't know that one. Challenge pissing? I don't know that. Sorry, I don't know. Don't know that. Zane Powers, along with the 3-act structure, what are some other writing things you believe to be untrue that people think are? Writing things people think are... 3-act structure is one that I don't really believe in. I'd say 3X. Other writing things that people believe are true that are not. I would say one thing about writing and creativity that no one really thinks about is when you're working with someone else. I think because everyone looks at these famous people who are directors or creatives and they can basically just do what they want, it's because they have established careers. Unless you're like what I'm doing right now, or most of my videos, it's just sort of me. Sometimes, Ryan helps out with the Every Show Evers. But for the most part, it's like, me by myself. But if you're not doing that, and you're working with other people, you need to engage them creatively, and you need to also be nice. And, there's not often times when it's your first thing that you can be like, no, we're doing it this way, and you have to believe in me and all this stuff. You need to listen to them, and they honestly will probably help you, and you'll make a better thing because of it. And I think too many times people come into the thing like, I'm the auteur, I'm the artist. I'm like, no, that person holding the camera is as much of an artist as you, and you should work with them. And if someone reads your screenplay and gives you a note, you should at least consider it and not get so totally offended. And sometimes, hey, it sucks if you get a bad note. Totally get upset. That's totally fine. But don't take it so personally. And I think so many people go, that was my vision, how could you just shit on it? I would say that is not helpful. And I think that's something that too many people like, that image of writing, and that messes with it, and I find that to be upsetting, frankly. Ryan Welcherson, favorite Tiny Toons character and favorite Animaniacs character? I would say, man, Tiny Toons needs to be on streaming because I don't remember a lot of the characters, but I remember it, and I remember how they used to say animation like anything's possible. I'd say like, you know, like everyone knows that cliche thing Tiny Toons would say, but now I realize no one can see it anymore. But I would say whoever the Bugs surrogate was, I used to like him a lot. And Animaniacs, probably Wacko, maybe Yakko, probably Wacko. Not plausible. What's your opinion on Aqua Teen Hunger Force? I love Aqua Teen Hunger Force. I think it is great. I watched it from the beginning till the end. I saw the movie in theaters. I think it is a great show. Enough said there. Zoidberg, question. Jim, did you see Murder on the Orient Express? I couldn't find a review of it. Can you recommend other film reviewers who might have insightful takes? I would say, I bet you Mark Kermode has a good review of it. I sort of saw it later while my wife was watching it. It looked sort of ridiculous. I forget like what else was coming out that weekend I saw instead. For a little bit, I was going to review the 70s Murder on the Orient Express the same week as the other one, but for some reason it didn't happen and I didn't, so sorry about that. Zodberg. Question, what are good comic books to read? I would actually say New Mutants. Bad timing? I don't know. New Mutants, the ones that the movie's based on. Question, Nathaniel Fogel, what food or have you stocked up on due to the virus? Not too much stuff, just like stuff for us. I don't go to the grocery store too often because I'm trying not to go outside too much right now, but I have gone outside and I have mainly gotten like fresh vegetable stuff. We have Home Chef, stuff like that. We're kind of just stock up to a certain degree, but we still want to get fresh stuff. And I did buy a bunch of cans of chili, so I guess that, Andy, yeah. I would just say get stuff you like. Austin, thank you for posting Cinram's channel. It's very nice of you. M Blood T, after this coronavirus crap, you think this will emerge a new Hollywoodish movement in the industry, especially when big studios are losing money? I think a lot of, online people are going to get more followings. We're going to see stuff like that. I think things will change. I don't think we fully understand what this whole thing's going to be, so I don't fully know, but I think things will change culturally as well as with Hollywood movies. Bruce Parker, which movie cancellation of late is the most disappointing? For me, New Mutants, because I was very excited for that. I was at a video I was working on to go along with it. That Demon Bear story is I kept telling people it's the last movie. You know those movies where you never, like, I'm sure for a lot of you it's Sonic the Hedgehog, those movies you never thought would happen in your biggest of dreams when you were a kid. And I had that with a new Star Wars, in Episode 7, with Days of Future Past happening, with all of the MCU. I've had it throughout my life, from Spiderman to Lord of the Rings, so many things. And I never thought there'd be a New Mutants movie, ever. It just never seemed popular enough. And the fact that it's sort of a big deal for me. So to me, that was the most disappointing to me, I think. Sweet Potato Fries. You mentioned that you and Doug would make a good review team. I don't think I said that. Would he be the Ben Affleck to you, Matt Damon? The Sonny to your Cher? The Feet to your Smelly? I'd say the Feet to my Smelly. I'd go with that one. I don't think we'd make a good team. I think we'd probably get along, but I think when we'd leave the room, we'd both talk shit about each other. Simon Clough, what's a good noir to start with? Detour. I'm actually probably going to post that soon, and I might do something on one of the streams talking about how Detour is a great film noir. It's one of the best film noir. It might be the best film noir, and it's a public domain film. You can find it on YouTube. Watch Detour right now. It is. I've talked to it about film history professors. Everyone I know who's a cinephile loves Detour. Just go ahead and watch it. Maybe even stop watching this or something. But you should. That's what I would recommend highly, is Detour. Not plausible. Any thoughts on the old Laurel and Hardy films of the 30s? They're great. That's what I think. They're hilarious. I like them. They're funny. They're great. Zane Powers, will coronavirus lead us to a society where we no longer rely on capitalism and we all work based on charity and welfare, where everyone can get just as much as they want and need? Zane Powers, I think you're an optimist, but that sounds lovely, but I don't think that'll happen, but we'll see. Question from Jordan Salafalo. Can Buster the Cat do crazy stunts like Buster Keaton? Not really. I'm not sure. Where is he right now? Anyway, I don't even know. But yeah, no, he can't really do that. He likes to sleep most of the time. Question. Doug Walker really was a dog walker, but if you have a chance, how will you confront him? I would just say, hey. Probably. Yeah. All right. Question from Zane Powers. Someone just wrote Creech. Sure. Bruce Parker wrote Creech. Anyway, Zane Powers, do you know about Steam? It's a digital store where you can buy games and play stuff on the computer. So you do have a way to play games. You can get Dark Souls on there. When will you get it? Probably never, because it's hard to have free time. So, sorry. I don't think I'll ever play Dark Souls. Apologies. Courtney, I've been trying to finish regular show lately, and I was just curious if you prefer CJ or Margaret. I personally prefer CJ. I don't know. I feel like Margaret was a better choice, but I think CJ... I sort of like both of them, but I don't know. I did a video essay on regular show. You should check it out, but... Yeah, maybe... You know what? I think CJ is probably better for him, for being real. I don't know. Evil Ira, what is the best case scenario for Disney under Bob Chapek? And after the coronavirus, what is the worst? Best case is it continues to sort of be the same. Worst case is it starts to falter. But best case for him, a lot of their big movies are now delayed. So a year that didn't look as great is now going to look a little better, or through the glasses of this whole crisis. So I think whatever this year was going to be might work out better for him, but it's going to tumble for everyone. So I don't know if you can really judge him on that. We'll have to see in a couple of years when this is hopefully over and maybe the world is a little more solidified. Tannerlands asks, when the theaters reopen, do you think Harmony Korine should release Trash Humpers with an Odorama card? So you want theaters to do well, is what I'm getting from that. I think that's nice one, Tanner. That's good. Anyway, Bruce Parker, Tanner nearly did an Iron Man film, and I've heard that also with the Luke Cage thing. I've heard that as well, Bruce Parker. Paige Howard, what do you think the future of movie theaters will be in the future with the virus? What lessons will be learned? I think there will still be theaters, but I think they'll be owned by a streaming service. I think most of these will be bought by a studio or a streaming service or a major conglomerate who will be doing different and crazier things with it. And I think that is the most likely thing that will happen. Zane Powers, what are some of the worst teachers you had in school? I would just say most of the ones who lost their patience with me, which was a lot of them. Jacob Shelter, hey, if you have a problem, I don't know. What are your thoughts on the Disney Apple bid analysts are bragging about? There hasn't really been a bid, and I've heard that one. There wasn't really a bid, and I think it was just something they could do, and people were predicting it. But again, it's much more of a complex situation than people are giving it credit for. I talked about it earlier in the stream. But just summarize, it's a much more complicated, because Disney is a much more complicated company than just a content company. So I'm sure that's probably Apple's hesitancy. I think Apple might buy a theater chain, and that would make more sense, frankly. But it would also help them out. So it could happen, but it's been a week. That was like Monday people were saying that. I've noticed there's been no movement on that story, so I think it's just a thing that could happen, and we'll see. Zix the Pest, I guess. Don't you know if you went over this in the show, but what did you think of Josh Boone dunking on Dark Phoenix? I sort of heard about that. I did not talk about that. I mean, Dark Phoenix sucks, so whatever. I don't think it's that big of a problem, to be honest, because that sucks. So, whoa. I lost the thread here. Man, there are a lot of these. Okay. Any good movies with a virus is the main focus to watch. Probably Contagion, if you can see it. I think you have to pay for it in most places. Zane Powers, I have a series I'm ready to write, but it's not in visual format. I want it to be in the pacing narrative style of shows of comics. How do I do this, and where should I post this? I would just say try to get to the format of comics and see how you can best do that. There's no right or wrong way to do it. I would just try to replicate how you read comics and interpret comics. That would be the best way to do it. Bruce Parker, compared to Paw Patrol, how bad to the public is PJ Masks? I don't know enough about PJ Masks. I've seen it a little times, but doesn't seem that bad to me. So, Taylor, what streaming service do you think is the most underrated and which is the worst? Hulu's search function is awful. Hulu should be better. Best, I think Amazon Prime doesn't get enough credit. So, maybe that. But I still think, Oh, surprisingly, no Adult Swim Facts Night. I was going to do a thing on Adult Swim, like review a pilot, and I might do that on a later stream. Might be on the Wednesday stream. I'm going to review one of the pilots. And I'm actually going to have a review of an Adult Swim pilot this week anyway that's already shot, that's not part of a stream. But I didn't have enough time to do that properly, so I will probably do that in a next episode or so forth. Because one of the things changing, Ryan mentioned this, is when I do the Every Show Evers, I want to have a video like the Peppa Pig Lost thing and like a connected video rather than just go, here are a bunch of facts or shows I was into. I think that's a little more fun, but I didn't get to do that. But there will be a Adult Swim pilot review this week anyway, but there'll be another one attached to a stream either Wednesday or Saturday. Question: the first time I ever heard of Kenny Rogers, I thought he was a restaurant owner before I realized he was a country musician. A lot of people did. Have Maria Joe's Pojo asks, have you ever played a TCG? I don't know what that is. Question: do you think the MomoCon date is getting moved? They can get Doug Walker, and so you and Nolan can ask him to change the channel. I've heard that too. We'll see. I think a few more, because this is going on. Wow. Thoughts on the controversial new Marvel characters? I don't have many thoughts. I need to watch the comic Drake video, I guess. Cornbread, what are your thoughts on the new characters? That's another one. Haven't watched that video, so have no, and I haven't read that. DreamWorks Voltron took 2 years to produce with more than 70 episodes, while She-Ra only have 1 year to produce like 50. I didn't know that. That's interesting. Question, building off my earlier question, thoughts on the idea of hero's journey. Wow, these are like intense ones. I mean, you don't have to do it. It's a good way to introduce certain things. It's yeah. I am canon Aqua Teen. You're right, Austin. Thoughts on the designs of the new Animaniacs? I haven't seen any of that, so I can't say. Thoughts on cringe culture? I don't love it, but there's always different ways to talk about stuff. Subscribe to Dolphin Boy. Nice. Question: what are some of the worst takes you've heard from family members? I don't really have one. Questions: what is love? Hey, baby, don't hurt me. Question: I'm thinking of adopting a cat after this coronavirus stuff blows over. Do you have any tips? Probably of the pound, or try to get. I wouldn't go to a store in the mall or something, like someone in a home or something like that. And who's a bigger synth than Mordecai? Not sure. I think that's going to be it, because this went on. Would you mind any noir films you recommend? I said Detour already. Would you be in an episode of Regular Show if you could? I would love that. From Austin the Windwriter, Cartoon Freak. You've had a bunch of American comic books, but what's your favorite manga? Probably, I haven't read that many. It's not Saddle Rash, Ryan. Saddle Rash, Jackson and I have already talked about it. Saddle Rash has to be its own thing. It's not going to be Saddle Rash. Either of the reviews are not Saddle Rash. Don't worry. Anyway, I think I got to everyone. It's kind of late. This went on for a while. But I will have a video out possibly tomorrow night is the plan right now. But we'll see about all of that. But anyway, I hope you guys are being safe out there, frankly. I just want you all to be okay, because I know it's a little crazy. A Saddle Rash review will happen. We're already talking about it. But I hope you're all contributing, helping people out, being nice, being helpful. Society in the world needs that right now, so please do that. Please check out every Adult Swim show ever. The last Doug Walker review, I put things in it. I put Izzy's clip in the Teen Titans thing. Joanna Man came out this week. There was a commentary video on my Patreon. A lot of stuff going on. This week, it is going to be a stream on Wednesday. There'll be videos throughout the week, including an Adult Swim thing. It's really not Saddle Rash, right? I realize I should have prefaced that. Also, I want to thank Ryan Walterson, who did who did an amazing job on the Every Show Ever. Thank you so much for that. He's amazing. Anyway, thank you all very much. Everyone have a good night, and stay healthy, stay sane, and be good to each other. And that is it. I will see you next time, and subscribe if you would like to. Wait, hold on. Wait. Is it ending? No? Embarrassing?